Ow. Alright guys, for today's video, you can see we are back under the hood of my 2011 Chevy Cruze. This is the Eco. It has the 1.4 liter Ecotec engine, Ecotec, whatever the hell you want to say. It is no secret that these engines are about as fluid tight as a submarine made out of Swiss cheese. So they do have a tendency to leak things. It's a bit of an understatement, but they do leak. With that being said, the leaks and everything are kind of all well documented. So you'll know where they'll be coming from, but let's just say you've just kind of come into the car recently because you bought it as a used car, because these things, aren't being made anymore. Cruze, they just killed the Cruze like however many years ago, I think, in general. Shut up, bird. So let's say you buy a used car and you want to make sure that there's no real issues with it, or if there are issues, that you can take care of them and do them yourself. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start at the top and work my way down of areas that are going to be the most likely to leak with either oil or coolant wise. So we're starting at the top, working our way down, because gravity likes to pull everything down. So the easiest way to kind of track back or find where your leaks are coming from is to kind of go up, work your way down from the bottom up to see how high they go. And usually if it's not going to leak upward, right? So it's going to leak down. So the higher you go up, that more propensity is for it to cover everything below it. So we're going to start at the top and work our way down, so you'll know kind of where to look when things go. So starting with the oil side of things, okay? The first thing that is kind of, well, I mean, these things right here are all roughly the same height, but we'll go with it. So here you have your valve cover. Between the valve cover and the cylinder head is a gasket. You can see right here is blue. This has been replaced like 2 or 3 times. What happens is that these gaskets end up wearing out, and you can leak oil that will seep out from anywhere along these edges here all the way around. It's usually more common here along the front side, dripping down. You'll find it going onto your exhaust. So the way to fix this, it's not hard at all. I do not have a video on this. This is before I started doing my channel, but what you do is you pop off this plastic cover here. You have your coil that goes underneath it. I'll pull this off just to show you. So you have your coil going on right there. You pop off those 2 bolts and the coil lifts up. You don't have to disconnect the coil if you don't want to, but you can. There's the coil plug there, but the coil can pop up off the spark plugs, and you just roll it out of the way, and you undo the bolts going around. You pick the valve cover up, and then you peel the gasket off, and you'll just replace with the new one. And then only thing you got to worry about is right here at the edge where the timing cover on this side meets the head. On the front and back side, right where that seam is, you got to put about a pea-sized drop of RTV on it. Put the gasket on top of it, put the valve cover on there, and then just follow the torque sequence to tighten this down to make sure you get it tightened down correctly. And do not over tighten. It's going into aluminum, so don't strip it out. Okay, that's an easy fix. Takes about 30-40 minutes depending on how fast you work. In the same vein here, you may think that, oh, I have a leaky valve cover gasket because I'm finding oil up around here. Well, the thing is, if you're finding oil up here, it's not really going to come from the valve cover gasket, even though it may look like it. What generally that happens there is that the O-ring on the filler cap here gets worn out, because every time this gets taken out to do an oil change, it just wears and wears and wears down at that O-ring. So you can just replace that, or you can get a whole new cap altogether, and that will take care of a leak if you see a leak up here. Now at about the same height, going over here on the side here, these variable valve timing cam actuators, or solenoids, whatever you want to call it, they will go by 2 names. Behind this housing there is a rubber gasket on each side. They do wear out. This is a super quick and easy fix. It takes about 10 minutes. I do have a video on this, the part number stuff. So if you see a leak coming from around here and dripping down in any way, or below here along the edge, that would be what is taking care of that. Okay, it's super quick. Just make sure you get the correct gaskets. Now, still continuing on with oil from the top, you will have this oil filler line right here that goes into your turbo. Depending on what, since these cars are older, if someone has already tried to replace this, they may replace it with a different aftermarket one. Some aftermarket ones come with solid brass banjo washers. Some come with a rubber and brass banjo washer, which those ones I think tend to wear out more. So you could be leaking oil on this side here, but more than likely where you'll leak oil is right here, where this end connects into the oil cooler. The original stock one came with a single O-ring. All the updated ones have come with double O-rings in here, and this is probably the most common leak point on these. It'll leak from here, dropping down, and it's really easy. I have a video on this. It takes about, again, 10 minutes. Bolt there, slide it out, slide it in. I do not have the heat shield over here. Normally there would be kind of a metal heat shield that covers this that you would just take out 3 bolts to get that out of the way. But that is how to replace that. You can't really see it from here, but we'll go on their underside here in a little bit and I'll show you. But right here, where this ties into, this is your oil cooler. This entire housing goes here where it holds your oil filter, which can also leak here if for whatever reason when someone changes the oil they don't change the O-ring on the actual cap itself. That will cause it to leak. Okay, that's a quick easy fix by just swapping out the filter and replacing the O-ring. But in here in the body, and we'll see it better from the bottom, but there's a seam where the oil filter body, or yeah, the oil filter housing of the oil cooler connects to the cooler portion where the coolant runs through. There is a rubber gasket inside there that always goes. Some people would just replace the gasket. I don't recommend it. I replaced the entire oil cooler just because everything's got to come out of the way to get to it anyways. So might as well just do the whole thing. I do have a video on that. Make sure if you do this, you also replace the rubber O-ring that is on the back side of this hard line that runs over here, and we'll go over that in a minute. That ties into the oil cooler. If you don't do that, you'll leak coolant. So from up top here, these are going to be the most common leaking points for oil. Okay, now we're going to go to coolant up top and work on our way down. So the most common area, well, I'll just say this car runs Dexcool. You can see it right there. I need to add a little more. Obviously it just consumes itself here, but Dexcool is notorious for eating all of the hoses up. Okay, it kills them from the inside. So the long and short of it is every single coolant hose on here will leak at some point in time. It just depends on in what order. Okay, so all those will need to be replaced, but we will start up here in the oil, or not the oil, sorry, the coolant reservoir up here. The highest point will be this cap. What happens is this is a vented pressurized cap. When the cap wears out, it will just seep out excess coolant vapor through here, and it will cause your pressure or your level to drop down. The easiest way to know that that is leaking is you'll look up here at the insulation under hood, and you'll see like a big staining up here directly above this. I don't have it. This is not leaking, so that's good. So the next point of this where it will leak on these stock ones is right down here at the outlet spout here. This is pure plastic, and this is the reason all these things leak on these cars, is because GM's freaking hard on for using plastic and stuff that heat cycles nonstop. But this stem right here is pure plastic from stock, and they snap right there at the bottom, and they will either leak slowly or it'll just snap out completely and you lose everything. This is an aftermarket Dorman unit. Excuse me. It has a metal sleeve reinforcement insert in that area to keep this from happening. Same up here. These are stock. These will, on stock, they're just plastic and will snap off. It's far less likely to happen than this one, but they can still happen. This is a metal reinforcement in this one. Have a video on that. Over here, the most notorious one is right here. This is your outlet T. On the passenger side here, this is plastic from stock, and what happens is that usually this output right here, which goes to the oil cooler, this will snap and it'll squirt coolant all over the place. You can see here I had this replaced with an aluminum aftermarket one, and then also here on top on the standard one, I'll put a picture up here, there's like a little thing, and then this hose comes and clamps on it and grabs from the top. Those little clamps on top will also break at some point in time. So I replaced that with this aftermarket thing that a guy on Reddit makes. I'll tag it here in the bottom here to get it from if you want. And this is a machine aluminum piece that replaces that plastic piece that will break. Okay, these always break. Just replace it with an aluminum one. You'll never have to worry it again, because all the plastic ones will continue to break. Okay, so this hose itself will rupture. This is a coolant line hose that goes from here down to the turbo and to the oil cooler. Okay, this is what flows the coolant through it. Right here below on this one, this hose is probably the first coolant related item that leaks on these cars. It's because right here on this end, you can't really see it under the sleeve, but there is a hydraulic fitting that clamps down onto the rubber hose. That fitting always fails. Some people try and cut off that fitting, just replace it with a piece of fuel line. I tried it, didn't work, so I ended up replacing every hose that goes to this turbo, because they all wear out and they do leak, and you can do them all at one point in time. But this one right here always fails. Okay, Dorman sells a kit. I don't even know what the price is. When I got it, it was like less than $100. It has all 4 lines, both oil feed and return and both coolant feed and return lines that go to the to the turbo that you can replace at one time. And when I got it, it was less than $100. Not sure what it is nowadays. But also too, on the back side here, you can't really see it here, but if you look past there, you may be able to see a thing in there. There's a nut that comes in there on top and bottom to run the coolant through the turbo, and there's a metal thing that pops in there. Some people have them leak at that joint. I never had that leak. I think most of the time if those leak, that's probably when people have screwed with it at the beginning and like crimped it and it started leaking at that. But that's just another thing where it could leak potentially turbo wise, coolant wise around the turbo. So keep an eye on that. Up here on this side, okay, first of all, you'll have your water pump down here. There was a recall however long ago, or at least a service bulletin about how this water pump would wear out prematurely. A lot of these have probably been replaced by the factory, but if not, water pumps, they wear out on every vehicle. It's not a Cruze or 1.4 liter specific issue, so just keep that in mind. And you will replace that by pulling out, putting a new one in. And you generally, when a water pump wears out, there's a weep hole on the top and the bottom. Unless the bottom one is clogged, you'll kind of come out to like just a drop of coolant on the ground, because it's weeping out the bottom, letting you know that the packing and stuff inside there is starting to leak. Okay, now right here you have your thermostat. Is plastic from the factory. They do make aluminum ones, replacement ones that you can use. I want to use an aluminum one on this, and the connector was incorrect, so I had to run and grab one of these really fast, the plastic one, just get my car back on the road. Those will wear out and start to cracking, and most of the times when it cracks, you come back over to this side, you see this hose, it ties into the bottom of the thermostat right there. That's where it cracks and leaks. But then this hose itself right here, it's hard to point here, it kind of comes down here, goes back here a little bit, and connects to a hard line right about this point. That hose fails as well. And then you also have the coolant return, or the inlet and outlet of the coolant from the radiator, coolant into the engine. So this hose and this hose right here. Okay, those all wear out, as well as up here. This hose comes down from here and ties into your heater core. This is the bottom hose that ties into the heater core into the wall, and then the other side comes over here to the back side of the thermostat, or not thermostat, I'm sorry, the water pump right there. That wears out. And then you have the other upper heater core hose that comes back out from the heater core to the outlet T over. It's kind of hard to see. It's underneath the throttle body hose, or intake hose right here. Okay, so every single one of these hoses will fail. They will rot out at any given time. So I recommend, if you see any sort of leak, or if you want to do preventive maintenance, you replace all of these rubber lines at the same time. That is like a non-negotiable. It will be done. You can get it all done in a weekend. Everything I'm saying here, you can do it in a long weekend, okay? And I have a video on all of these coolant related things I just said, aside from the water pump, okay? This is over the course of 3 or 4 videos, so that will help you get through it, okay? Now, internally here in the turbo, back to oil. The turbo inside itself, there can be, the seal inside there can kind of wear out and the oil will start going through the turbo and you can get up into your intake. That's kind of a very small chance, but it has happened in the past, okay? So just kind of keep that in mind. And then I'll say this while we're up here, because we're going to go down and we're going to see other things here, but I just want to say while we're up here, so you know the reason why, is these PCV systems in these engines are trash. Right in here, there is an internal PCV valve, sorry, right here, that is built in that vents sideways into the intake. Those things always get blown out, and it runs lean and throws codes. And when this happens and gets blown out, you can end up having too much crankcase pressure in your engine, and it will suck out seals, okay? So your PCV system needs to be fixed and taken care of. You can do that by either replacing the entire intake manifold, or what I have here is the combination of the Super Cruzes and the PCV fix kit, the Cruze kits, PCV kit. And what that does is it takes, you block off the hole for what was the check valve inside here, and it gets replaced by an external check valve out here that takes care of that issue. And then I also have a catch can to catch any oil, blow by, and or water vapor in the car when it is kind of cold outside and you don't drive it enough to warm off and burn off all the extra water vapor that builds up in the engine when that is that time of year, okay? So that PCV system is also related to some leaks underneath the car, okay? So now I'm going to get it up in air. We're going to look at the things that leak underneath the car, and it's kind of less down there, but we're going to run through it. All right, be right back. Okay, I got the car up in the air. I got it mostly up. I don't need to go up maybe harder, but up on my new Garvey hydraulic ramps. So these things are obviously ramps drive up on here, but also here on this edge you got a hydraulic jack built in if you need to get any extra height up on your car to get a more working area, if you got to take something and drop it down or anything like that. Also has a couple of safety pins to slide in there to keep it from dropping down on you, which is definitely what you want. So Garvey was nice enough to send these out to me, and if you guys are interested in getting a set of these for yourself, I have a link for you down in the description with a code as well for you to use. So if you want to check in on those, go ahead, grab some, let me know how it goes. All right, so now we're going to be up underneath the car. It's going to be a little bit darker, so I got a flashlight, so it's going to start doing that whole shaky aliasing, I think is the word. Stuff with the camera, so you'll see the little lines going through. So okay, but we're back underneath the car. Okay, so now to pick up where we left off about the PCV up top, kind of can't see from this area because right here I had this is the Eco, so it came with this belly pan underneath it. And the first thing they did with this car is they figured it would catch on fire because it was all the stuff leaking and leaves getting down there, so they cut out your belly pan. So that kind of screws you over with trying to get really good gas mileage, but it is what it is. So if you look over here, you'll see the crank pulley right there, right there. So what happens with your PCV system is if that's worn out, it creates too much vacuum and it can suck in the crank seal. Okay, so it'll take the crank seal that goes between that snout and the timing cover, and it will suck it backwards a little bit to where you'll start hearing like a chirp, 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 like it sounds like a bird chirping sound as the engine's running. So to replace that, you would have to remove the belt, remove the crank pulley, pull it off, and then you pop the seal out of the timing cover and put a new one in and tighten it back down, reinstall the crank pulley. Okay, you can access it through the wheel well, so it's not as awful as a lot of other cars, but I do not have a video on that. But that is also related to the PCV system. You fix the PCV system, this isn't something you have to worry about. Okay, now if you look back up here towards the turbo, so here's the turbo right there, is the bottom of it. See this metal hose that comes down? This is a replacement one. The stock one that comes on the car, like everything else, is plastic. Okay, so that will in fact wear out Not so, it's not as bad on here because the turbo is hard mounted to the engine, so it stays kind of static, but it can crack if you do go to replace the turbo or oil cooler at any given time. It will crack on you, so make sure you replace that. And like I said, that comes with the 4 hose kit, dormant kit that you can get to replace it all at one time. That I have a video on that. Okay. Back up here, so look up. Okay, let me see. All right, either way, you're not really going to see. Right above that bracket, you can see, start seeing the silver there. That is the oil cooler, and right where that joint is, where it gets round to flat, right over there, that is where it starts leaking oil from what that needs to be from where it'll start leaking oil from that gasket that gets worn out. So that you can replace by either doing the seal kit, which I don't recommend. I just do the entire oil cooler and get that done. You don't have to worry about it. I use the dormant one. Okay, so now here you can start seeing I got a little bit of funkiness here going around. So the second major cause of leaks on these cars is the oil pan gasket, because as you can see right here, it's wet around here, a little bit wet here, and I do have kind of more of a drip right there. Okay, so the oil pan gasket goes all the way around, all along the front side, along the back side, and up around here where it ties to the transmission. That's not even a real gasket. It is made from RTV gasket maker. Okay, so what you do is you have to drop the catalytic converter and at least drop this exhaust area down far enough to loosen this up and take the oil pan down. You have to scrape off the old gasket on the top and bottom, and then you follow the procedure of how to replace, or what areas to put the RTV on top of the oil pan. And then there's one area, I believe, where the dipstick kind of comes in, that you have to actually do it to the engine block itself. Then you reinstall this and you tighten it down, following the correct torque sequence. I do not have a video on that, but as you can see, it'll be something I will have to end up doing at some point in time, because this was already replaced because this oil pan got screwed up because I made a mistake of taking it to a quick change oil place and allowing those idiots to change my oil to try and save myself a little bit of time. But as you can see, I do have a leak there. Happens to every one of them. It is what it is. And then the final thing oil-wise that can leak, but you can't see it from here, but in between the transmission over here and the engine here, you have your rear main seal at the back of the crank. Those can get blown out if you overfill with oil. If you don't overfill with oil, you probably won't have a too much of an issue with it. There's something that will get tired eventually, but it's not really going to happen to you unless you're overfilling with oil. It's nothing you really have to worry about. Okay, now coolant wise, pretty much everything coolant is up higher. The only other thing coolant wise down here, let me flip it over, is you got your radiator. Where am I? Your radiator's right back here. Can't really see. There's a drain spout kind of over here, right to where that hose ties into the passenger side of that. That may get worn out, or the radiator itself could crack. But other than that, most of the coolant leaks on this thing is up top. So yeah, all right, let me get out here and stand back up. So yeah, that's all the, ooh, should I flip this over? Ah, there we go. Okay. Yeah, so that is all of the main issues and areas you will have to worry about when it comes to leaks. Okay. For oil and coolant. Other than that, you really shouldn't have many leaks. I mean, you may get a leak in your AC system, but you won't see that at all. That's just like a seal wearing out, and you just kind of, essentially for that, you take the system apart, replace all the seals, put a vacuum on it, fill it back up with Freon R134. But yeah, other than that, you should be good to go. If you have brake line leaks or anything, it will be coming over towards the rubber areas of the lines where it attaches to the calipers or drums in the back. But yeah, other than that, these are leak areas you may have to worry about on these cars. Well, you will have to worry about some of them depending on if they're taken care of previously or not. And since these are all used cars, it's a crapshoot of whether or not someone has actually taken care of cars in general, let alone these engines that are pretty particular with known issues. So yeah, that's it, guys. Before you go buy one of these cars or whatever, I don't say run away from them. Okay, just do your best to understand where the issues may lie and what you need to do to help fix those issues. Okay. You can watch this video over. This will tell you everything to look for when you are looking at it. Try, if you're buying a used car, hopefully someone has kept all the receipts and stuff, documented everything they have done. Not everyone does that, but if they do, it's a little bit of insurance for you as to what you have, what you may need to look into and fix later on. But yeah, all right guys, that's all I got for you today. Just want to make this little friendly advice video so you know what to do. And like I said, aside from the crank seal, the oil pan gasket, and the valve cover gasket, I have videos on fixing all of these leaks and other issues, so feel free to check those out if you come across something easily fixed. But all right guys, that's all I got for you today. Oh yeah, if you're interested in some of those hydraulic ramps, link is in the description along with the code. All right guys, that's all I got for today. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that stuff, and I'll see you next time. Later. Well, it turns out my coolant reservoir cap is shot, so I'll be replacing that.